Check, check. Light crowd. We're live, right? Yes. Okay. All right, everybody. Welcome to the Diamondhead POA Vice Presidential Debate. All these questions were selected randomly. Of course, we prioritized those that were repeat questions that came from the POA members that collected online and other forums. So we established this list based on a lot of those repeat questions. And that's how we came to what we're going to ask and introduce this evening. My name is Patrick Daly. I'll be moderating the Q&A forum. We have our two candidates, Mr. Craig Harvey and Mr. Jerry Gillen. And we appreciate everybody participating in this evening's debate forum. And we're going to get started here in just a minute. Okay. All right. We'll go with our, we did a drawing on who went first. Our number one is Craig. We'll go ahead and go down our list. Gentlemen, are you ready? All right. Oh, I do apologize. If you would like to please make your introduction individually. So, Craig, if you'd like to introduce yourself, please.
Well, good evening, everybody. Hopefully, we've got some folks out there that have taken the time to watch and listen to the varying ideas that we have for the future of the POA. I'm Craig Harvey. I'm the sitting vice president, coming to the end of a 2-year term. So prior to that, I was a director. I spent 4 years. Over my career with the POA, I've been very active, sitting on most of the committees that are out there. I had some really good advice when I ran. You can spend as little time or as much time as you want. And to be honest with you, that was a patent lie. It takes a lot of time. My hat's off to everybody that's running, that wants to serve. Hope you know what you get in for. Looking forward to finishing out maybe a second term if people will have me. We've worked very hard to improve the financial and the stability of the club. I certainly know that what happens next is probably foremost on everybody's mind. It's never been far from our mind. We work on it every single day. My strategy, people say, what have I done or what I want to do? I focused at a lower level. I take a lot of pride in the fact that our department heads are the best department heads that we've ever had. Each one uniquely qualified for their job. Rigorous interviewing processes and vetting of these candidates that now run our amenities has turned us into a very professional organization. It requires less hands-on from the board. We're more what a general board is meant to do, is we're high-level supervisors and strategists. That's where we are. That's who I am. If elected, I will continue to push our amenities to become revenue neutral when and where possible. Happy to discuss the pitfalls along the way, the starts and stops. Certainly this election is one of them. I wish it had happened a month ago, but it didn't. So we're getting ready for it. Certainly we had a hats off to the election committee for putting this debate together in the face of the COVID-19 virus. I appreciate the fact that we've really bent over to get this done and be able to get the words out there. So I look forward to your questions.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Harvey, sir. Mr. Gillen, sir, I apologize.
Good evening. I'm Jerry Gillen, and I would like to be your next vice president. Change is one of the constants in human affairs, and it's absolutely inevitable. Diamondhead is about to go through a lot of change, and we either plan and control it or we get run over by it. We have to change the culture of the POA. There is too much anger and division because there's a lack of open communication, transparency, and accountability. There is little or no input into decisions that affect us all. A prime example was just announced this morning in an email blast about enlarging the patio at the club. While this might be great, construction is going to start tomorrow. There's no mention in the PO board meetings. There's not a major expense because I know it's going to only be 5 days to complete it. But was this a wise investment? After all, we live here in South Mississippi, not San Diego. Our covenants are expiring. This board tells us not to be worried. We must be happy. The first thing a new board will need to do is come up with a plan to deal with expiring covenants because this board seems to not have one, or it has not communicated it to us. As I said, communication. The POA has a legal fiduciary responsibility to maintain our amenities. The money to do this must come from the amenities themselves and from the residents, you and I. If we are to ask you to pay dues, we have to demonstrate to you that we are good stewards of this money. This can only be done by showing you where the money is being spent. We can do this by producing a docket of claims every month. The docket lists individual payments to businesses. It does not include salaries, but it will show a sum of all salaries. The POA contracted with a reputable golf company to conduct a review of the entire POA. The report was received in April of 2019, and a condensed version of the report was sent out to the community. You did not see the whole report. If you read the entire report, there's an underlying theme that is lack of accountability in many of our amenities. If a business is to succeed, and Diamondhead is an $8 million a year business, there must be transparency and accountability. I've found when I was working that when you give managers clear goals and hold them accountable for meeting those goals, they will succeed. We have a lot of excellent people working for the POA. We need only give them leadership. I will work to protect all of your amenities, listen to your concerns, elicit your ideas, and do what is good for all of the residents of Diamondhead, not just a few. We will have open board meetings where attendees will have a chance to discuss agenda items that are going to be voted on before the vote is taken, not after. We will have minutes published as a draft as soon as possible so that those not in attendance know what went on at the meeting.
Mr. Gillen, thank you very much. We appreciate the intro. Okay, we'll be moving on to the questions. Also, when we reach our 20-second limit, Mr. Cole there in the back will raise a hand, or Bob will raise a hand to let you guys know that you have 20 seconds left from the timing standpoint. Okay, on to the first question. All right, have you supported a forensic audit in the past, and will you, upon taking office, introduce a motion to have or vote for a forensic audit?
So, yes, I have supported a forensic audit in the past. Our last annual audit included a forensic component based on personnel, which is why it's not reported or the outcome of it. Would I support it in the future? No, it's a waste of money. Most people don't have a clue what a forensic audit is unless you're willing to point a finger and say, I suspect that. It is a useless waste of money, and no reputable firm would take it.
Mr. Gillen.
No, at the present time, I do not support a forensic audit. I do think that we will have to go in and take a look at all of our budgets and have all of the department heads come in and look at the budgets. Let's face it, this COVID-19 has put us in a position where we don't have the income we thought we were going to have, and we're going to have to redo a whole lot for the second half of the year. But at the present time, unless something was found, I don't think there's a forensic audit that needs to be done.
Okay. Moving on. For number 2, what do you feel are the benefits to continuing to pay POA dues after the covenants run out for the property owners? Sorry. Okay, sure.
It's quite obvious why we should continue to pay the dues. My wife and I moved here 30 years ago for what we have in Diamondhead. And for the little bit that we pay, it doesn't make sense to me why we would not want to continue and keep what we have. All of our amenities are supported and are well done, and without these, Diamondhead is not Diamondhead.
So there's an illusion out there that most of the dues go for golf or tennis or to support the club. The fact of the matter is that most of our amenities that are dues, that are revenue generating, have the capacity, the ability to become revenue neutral or revenue positive. The big gap is in the youth and family recreation. And that is where the people that say, I don't get anything if you take your kids to the ballpark, to the pools, to the walking trails, all these things require funding, just under $500,000 at last count. That's why people should pay dues.
Moving on to question number 3. Do you favor running the country club and golf courses as a standalone profit and loss business rather than a subsidized amenity funded by mandatory dues from all property owners? Why or why not?
Creating revenue neutral amenities has been a gold mine for 6 years, and golf could be revenue neutral tomorrow, minus the impact of the COVID-19, which was a board-supported decision. When we decided not to allow outside play, to limit the number of people on the course, this is something that nobody else on the coast did, but we did out of an abundance of caution to protect the membership. So we knew that it would set fiscally back golf a little bit, but the reasoning behind it is we were all about protecting members and not so much about making the money. But yes, that has been the goal, to be standalone amenities where possible. The problem is the amenities that won't be.
Understood.
No, I don't support doing that. I think we need to keep it the way we have it, that the POA runs all of our amenities. And as Craig was saying, golf is one of the highlights of this community. I know a lot of people talk about, I don't want to pay for people to play golf. I have not played a round of golf here in Diamondhead, but I still support that. Number one, whenever I drive through, I got beautiful green space when I visit my friends. But what you're doing is you are helping people, or actually giving people the opportunity to play golf. They pay a couple of $1,000s a year to play golf. And our dues last year, only 5% of our dues. If you look at it, go back to the 2019 statement, financial statement, 5% of our dues went to subsidizing golf. Nickel on every dollar you pay.
Mr. Gillen, on to the next question. With the Diamondhead POA currently in the best financial condition that it's been in a very long time, and pending judgment from the People's Bank for over $1 million, do you support the passing of a public parcel tax on all Diamondhead properties to fund the amenities at this time? If so, why or why not?
No, I don't. Are you talking about something from the city? Is that what the question is asking? That the city would? The city needs to stay out of our business.
Mr. Harper.
Yeah, I'm absolutely opposed to the parcel tax. I'm opposed to the way that the city has tried to get it passed twice, 2 years in a row, having done it mostly in secret. That parcel tax, the bill that went to the Senate, said POA, dozens of times, and yet the city never came to talk to the POA one time about it.
On to the next question. How do you plan to assist or handle the properties with perpetual covenants such as High Point and Glen Eagle specifically?
So the folks, and I know there was a 2020 meeting out there where there was a kind of a scare tactic that said, you know, as they start to go away, people are going to pay more. I'm pretty convinced that probably not most, but very many people will continue to pay their dues to stay a member of the POA. I think it's a little like Chicken Little, the sky is falling for the people with perpetual dues. I just don't see it's going to be a problem for them.
Mr. Gillen.
That's a good question, and I don't have an answer for it. I really don't. The thing that I see, like Craig, I believe a lot of people are going to continue to pay their dues, but we're going to have to deal with that problem, and that's something that's going to take the POA board and input from all of the residents here to talk about this and see where we can take and go with that. And I agree with Craig when he says that I foresee that the POA and our amenities are going to go on for a number of years. We may reach a point, and we have to plan for that point, where things may get a little tight. But most people are going to continue to pay their dues, and we're going to have to figure out a way to make it fair for everybody.
Mr. Gillen, what are the three most important issues, in your opinion, facing the POA, and what are your plans to resolve those issues?
Well, obviously, the first one is the covenants expiring. That's going to take a lot of work on the board's part because, let's face it, I don't know of anything that's been put in place to deal with it. Maybe there is. Our finances, we need to be very open about our finances, and we're going to have to look at everything that's spent, where it's spent, how it's spent, and where we can do better. And I don't have a third one.
Mr. Harvey.
Sure. So obviously the task in front of us is the covenant extension. I'm not sure I agree with that. It's going to be impossible to extend the covenants. It is. And we've been harping on the word extend for so long. Nobody ever thought to say, let's change them. And I think that's the next strategy, is to propose a new set of master covenants that are fair and equitable across the board. A big problem that we have here in Diamondhead isn't that there's one set of covenants, it's that there are 43. To me, that is the number one problem that we have and that we have to figure out how to settle. Obviously, we continue to run the amenities that generate revenue in the best business case possible. It's what we've been doing for 6 years. We monitor the budgets. We continually monitor the budgets. If I was going to say there was a third problem, I'd say it'd be Facebook. That would be my problem. People don't come to the meetings. They don't talk. They use Facebook as a platform to register complaints rather than reaching out to the POA elected officials or the professionals that run the organization. So you have a bunch of people complaining and not a bunch of people see it. It just doesn't do any good.
And a third issue?
I think that was my third issue.
Okay. All right. Mr. Harvey, please expound upon what you know about the parcel first right of refusal if the DHPOA is abandoned, disbanded. Please expound upon what you know about the parcel first right of refusal if the DHPOA is abandoned.
Got it, Purcell, right. So I will say, I'm going to tell you right now that I had a big hand in extending that agreement with Purcell Corporation. We took out a lot of the language that controlled us, that we couldn't have outside play, perfectly agreeable now, no problem, that we couldn't advertise. The issue that we were trying to protect is a huge lawsuit battle should we decide that we can't afford amenities. Purcell rightfully believes that their first right of refusal on the amenities is in perpetuity. We've had a half a dozen lawyers tell us that that is a correct reading and understanding. So the only thing that we could get out of it was the protection that we also wouldn't have a fight on our hands every time we try to do something with the amenities, particularly advertising, outside play, things of that nature. So,
Mr. Gillen?
I think he expounded on it quite well.
So we're in agreement on that. Okay, moving forward, Mr. Gillen, if you are elected, what specific actions would you take in your first 30 days that you hold office?
Well, as I said, the first 30 days, we need to bring everybody in and take a look at our budgets and start from there. The COVID-19 has really played havoc with everything. Our income has fallen, not for anybody's fault. I think the POA did the best they could. The club did some really innovative things to try to bring in extra revenue, and we need to make sure of where we are and that we're financially sound going through this year and into next year.
Mr. Harvey?
sure. As with every election, everybody comes in and we look at budgets. That's pretty standard fare. It is, and it's to get to know the people that are running the departments at the department level. So, yep, kudos for knowing that. I plan to make my first and only efforts at the covenant, changing the covenants. That's what my focus will be on. As I said, we've now hired very professional, uber professional department heads. They're doing a great job. I believe most of that's going to turn around. The club's always been a problem, and there's some issues that we're working on even as we speak. Marketing, getting a different set of people to come to the club. It's a tough task that we have in front of us, but there's active groups, the committees I know talk about it every week. So that would be my effort, is a covenant, changing the covenants, not extension.
Mr. Gillen? I apologize. Oh, I'm sorry. The final question is a yes or no question only. Are you running on a ticket?
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
The final question is a yes or no question only.
Oh.
So, Mr. Harvey, are you running on a ticket?
No.
Mr. Gillen, are you running on a ticket with other?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it. At this time, we'd like to do a closing statement. We'll go ahead and start with Mr. Gillen, if you would, sir.
As I said, my wife and I moved here to Diamondhead 30 years ago for the lifestyle it presented, and wish to preserve all of that for those who will come after us. We pay so little each month for everything that Diamondhead has to offer. There's the beauty of Diamondhead. The beauty of Diamondhead is that we can all participate in as much or as little as we want, and we still live in a beautiful community that offers so much. We have friends who come here that we meet when we travel, and they look around and they are astounded at what we have and what we can participate in for so little money. It's something that we've all loved, and that's the reason that we're back here. As I said before, we're all in this together, and I humbly ask for your vote.
Mr. Harvey.
Sure. So we came here in '99, post-Katrina, and at '99 we had a very small company. We only had 11 or 12 people that worked for us. We're self-employed. Katrina came and we had a chance. We could have moved to Golden, Colorado, to Spokane, Washington. We could have taken our geospatial business, which is not normal for this area of the world, and gone anywhere we wanted. And it wouldn't cost us anything more or less. And instead we hitched up our boots. We volunteered for 3 years with the Hancock County Emergency Operations. We still volunteer with them today. And we committed to Diamondhead when we moved now our multi-million dollar business with its 150 employees to Diamondhead, and renovated a dilapidated old building that should have been condemned before we got it. I love Diamondhead. I'm one of the biggest proponents of it. I try to sell potential employees to come to Diamondhead. There really isn't anything that I won't do for Diamondhead. I'm very appreciative of the fact that we get to talk to people tonight. And it's really the first election that I can say this, is I don't think the membership can lose between me and Jerry. I think his heart's in the right place. I think he'll do a great job. I would like to continue to do it. I've got a lot of historical knowledge of the POA that's going to disappear with me. So I would again ask you for your vote.
Gentlemen, we just want to thank you for your participation this evening. The polite forum was a breath of fresh air, and we wish you the best of luck in the coming election. And this concludes our debate forum for this evening. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you.